How many hours of a flight that you take?
The longest travel time door to door has been 36 hours.
What do you experience at the airport? Is the staff really aware of all these things? Are they accommodating?
So it's generally okay if you're not hiding the fact that you're traveling with a neurodivergent child. People are generally helpful. Ask for help. You're not able to deal with it alone. If you're traveling as a family, you have your husband, you have your mother, that's fine. But if you're traveling alone, just ask for help. The airline staff, that is very good. Because also airlines do offer a free special assistance like a wheelchair service or at least someone accompanying you so that you don't have to wait in line at customs, at security, at border control.
What about the situation when you're in the aircraft?
Because it depends, from culture to culture in the sense, you're traveling with a bunch of Indians, they're generally noisy. So if your kid is noisy, it's okay, he's just camouflaged in the whole airline and with the noise of the airline. When you're traveling with a group of Europeans, they're generally very silent and extra civil and disciplined. So if you have a noisy child, you're going to tell him to hush a little more. But you have to realize that there is only so much you can do. It's part of the game. So you can only do that much to control your kid. Your kid can only do that much to regulate himself. Yeah, and then you can always ask the airline staff. Generally, I've found support on the ground and in the air. Yeah.
So welcome both of you today to the Dolly Show. We are so honored to have you both. And believe me, the topic that we're going to discuss today, travel and schooling, they are very, very, very close to my heart. So I'm super excited about today's session. So let's start. So this is what makes the Dolly Show unique. We have our professional, who is Alisha. She's a speech therapist. And we have our parent, who's doing wonders. That is Roshan. So thanks both of you for being here with us. And yes, let's start with our session today. First question being to you. You are from the Gateway School. So I really want to know more about Gateway School. What do you all do? What's your curriculum like? What's your services that you'll provide? So I want to know it all. Let's start with you.
Hi, and Dolly, it's a big honor to be on your show. Thank you so much. So the Gateway School of Mumbai falls under the Keshavlal V. Bodani Trust, and basically that has 4 verticals. Gateway School of Mumbai is one of the verticals. The school was started around 10 years back, give take, and the population that we work with are children who have learning challenges. Also, another vertical of the Keshavlal V. Bodani Trust is the Gateway Intervention Center. That is relatively new. We've been in action for, say, the past 2 years now. We also have the Gateway Outreach and Research, which is one of the verticals, and we have a professional development program as a 4th vertical under the foundation. So that's us. We do a whole range of work, right from offering therapeutic services to the intervention center to educational and schooling options, right from the age group, as of now, the age group of 7 to 21 years plus. Though we've just rolled out an early intervention program and we've gone down to from 1 to 5 and we're catering to that age group currently. We also have, Gateway School of Mumbai is a lab school. We look at evidence-based global practices around the world. We customize them. We try to understand what these practices are going to look like in the Indian context. And then we collaborate with other schools, other organizations, institutions, and then scale these practices accordingly.
Wow, very interesting, and lots of more things that I will be knowing in our conversation further. Before we go ahead, do you all admit children who are on the autism spectrum as well?
So at Gateway, at the intervention center, we take in everybody who wants to seek our services. There is no criteria. Everybody can come in and access any services that they need, they want, or seek. At the school, we do not look at intake from a diagnosis model. So we look at a child more holistically. We kind of understand what the child's strengths are, what kind of support the child needs. And this is not looked from the lens of diagnosis.
Wow.
So that's our approach when we take in children.
Got it. So clear. So it's clear now. Great. We'll delve deep into this. Now over to Roshan. Roshan, you are doing something that I live for. I live to travel. I love to travel. So as a mother, you have been traveling with your child in 3 different continents continuously. So I would love to know about this experience, and then we delve deep into other things about travel that I would love to know from you today.
Sure. Thank you so much for having me here, Dolly. Having us here.
Yes.
We travel not because we want to travel. We travel because we need to travel, because we had to move to Brazil when our son Rafa was just 2 months old, going to work. So because of work, we had to move to Brazil. So Rafa's grown up in Brazil, but of course Brazil is a continent which is very, very far from his roots. His roots, which are in France because his father is French, and in India because I'm Indian. So we couldn't just stay in Brazil without coming every year to India and going to France every year. So that's why travel has been a part of our family, part of his life ever since he was 2 months old, because that's when he took his first flight. Yeah, he took his first flight as a newborn to Rio de Janeiro. So that's been our story. And Brazil is over for us now, unfortunately, for the time being, because there's no more work there. And Rafa is on a waiting list to get into a special school in France, because of which we come to India and seek the best possible care that we can for him here in terms of education and therapy.
Wow. Excellent, interesting topic that we are going to delve deep into. So next, I would love to ask you a question, which is, so what are your criteria that you look at when, suppose, a very typical scenario, a child who is mildly maybe on the spectrum or other learning difficulties has come to you to the Gateway School. So what are the criteria that you all have to admit a child?
So at the Gateway School of Mumbai, one of the primary criteria that we have is the child should have spontaneous verbal communication. Of course, toilet training and all of these minor things, but our primary criteria would be a child who can communicate verbally. The reason we have this criteria is that we at Gateway believe that yes, a child learns a lot from the environment and a lot from the educator, but also a lot of learning takes place through the peer group, and that's the primary modality. When we take in admissions, we are always thinking about the child in the context of the peer group. Also, we have specific age ranges. So we have a 7 to 9 grouping, 9 to 11, 11 to 14, and so on. And we believe that a child should be able to interact with that peer group, and the child's strengths and challenges are complemented within the peer group. We also claim upfront that we do not have, the educators, we do not have the expertise to work with children who aren't verbal through our school setting.
So you also have another therapy center where you have a range of therapists and they cater to all. So I would love to know about that as well.
So our Gateway Intervention Center, like you said, is open for all, anyone who wants to access services. We have a range of different therapies that they have access to and seek services of. We also have a lot of recreational opportunities, and recently we've launched an early intervention program.
So wow.
At the center. So at the Gateway Intervention Center, we offer a range of therapies and recreational opportunities. So at therapies, we are looking at sensory integration therapy, we are looking at vision therapy, we are looking at speech and language therapy, we are looking at developing social skills through group work and group therapy. We're looking at oromotor therapy. We have counseling, we have academic remediation, we have a visual arts-based program for individuals who want to seek those services. Another big thing that we're doing is therapeutic listening. So therapeutic listening is a program in which you use frequency modulated music to address issues like attention, feeding issues, communication. So through the auditory system, we work on we stimulate the autonomous nervous system, and which helps in overall regulation, balances out arousal, and helps to improve attention and communication.
Wow. That's quite a huge range. I mean, and all under one roof.
Yeah.
Which is so amazing. Yeah.
And just to give some insight on the recreational opportunities that we have, the reason that we started recreational programs for individuals who seek our services is that for a neurotypical individual, there are lots of opportunities out there. There's a variety of choices that you can choose from based on your interest, based on your passion. But here in India, these services are extremely restricted for a neurodiverse population.
Yes.
Even if a lot of individuals have their heart in the right place and they want to cater to a neurodiverse population and they want to extend these services, a lot of times they find it difficult to differentiate. So the opportunities are very limited for a neurodivergent population. So our recreational programs extend right from photography, dance movement, like we have fitness programs. We have a program where we have a speech therapist and a drama person working together. We have speech and drama programs. We have social skills groups running. We have a visual arts program. We have fashion. We have a culinary program.
Wow.
So, and these programs are open to everybody who wants to seek and be a part of these programs.
Fantastic. I mean, everything.
Yeah. So whatever your passion is, whatever your interest is, whatever skill set you want to develop, and this is again inclusive to even individuals who are neurotypical and individuals who are neurodiverse.
Brilliant. I mean, something new to know. Believe me, I have never heard that a center who is training children for fashion. I've heard candle making and all those, but these kind of something oriented to building their career, which is a very good thing that is happening. Fantastic. Woof. What I would love to know is, so you take therapy at this center. Yeah. So I have the therapist who has given us the information, and I have a parent here who is experienced. So please, I would love to know your experience.
Yeah, so my son Rafa has been associated with the Gateway Intervention Center even before it was formally known as the Gateway Intervention Center. Because when we do a little gig in Bombay for like 5 to 6 months every year, we was looking for the best care, therapeutic care for him, and word of mouth, and because of networking and all of that, we got to know about Gateway, and that they were offering services even to external kids. And that's when the first therapist he met there was Alisha. And, and now I think it's not, I'm sure it's it's a story of a lifetime.
Yeah. Even for us.
Yeah.
Fabulous. So my next question that is popping up into my head is, so when you travel, how do you take care of the therapists?
So with,
How do you-
with Alisha, it's kind of possible because we can have online sessions. We don't need that much material to conduct a session. It is difficult because of my child's behavioral issues. Some days the sessions can be done online, some days it's not possible. But we try and at least maintain a link so that when we come back, it's easy. The transitions are easy. And also she gives me a lot of tips before I leave. She gives me a bunch of tips that I can follow with him. It might not be in a very therapeutic setup or all of that, but day to day, what I'm supposed to ask and how I am supposed to motivate him and what I should insist on, for his speech and language. So that's how we are generally in touch, even about, in general. So that is possible. When it comes to other therapies, it's difficult. We get the similar tips. We take materials also with us. But there are days it's very difficult to get the therapies done online. So we don't even opt for it. What we do is we just do like a instinct-based parental therapy. And there we have the advantage of being outdoors. So we do a lot of outdoor stuff like walking on the beach, barefoot, walking in the woods, mini hikes, that kind of stuff. So it's a different form of stimulation. That's how we navigate.
Your beach and your woods took me to that place already. I would love to know your views on this. So, from your end.
I feel like working, and at this point I'm going to talk specifically in terms of Rafa. I feel like working with Rafa through different mediums, whether it's physical, face-to-face, or online, just helps us maintain that consistency. There are times when we're just co-regulating together, and it's not an active therapy session, but that also works towards, we establish this bond, but to retain that bond, to keep that, and just kind of cueing him or kind of reminding him to use the strategies that we have taught him, supports with the generalization in all the environments that he's exposed to or wherever that he is moving. Also, a lot of times he does his stints and then we come back for the few months. There are gigs in Bombay. It helps to maintain that consistency, and we see that we're moving forward then in therapy.
Wow. So it's sort of a support that you have, like you have somebody you can rely on.
Yeah, honestly, your Gateway is like second home for Rafa.
Wow.
And not just for Rafa, even for a parent like me, because the ambience there, just the people there, and the kind of care and attention to detail, the affection. It's just huge. In a place like Mumbai, which requires a lot of sensitization, this is like Gateway is really a haven.
Wow. An applause for you, because
Thank you.
to build this connection also, you need to connect from your heart.
Yeah.
Correct. And I think, yes, all the therapists here in Gateway are doing a heart-to-heart connection, is why you're getting such compliments.
Yeah.
Calling the center as home is like,
I think
nothing else can be much better.
That's a big validation for us.
Exactly. Fantastic. Which is good. So you all are catering to
a wider range
yes,
of population
through this center, which is a good initiative, which is really nice. Over to you. So what do you do? What is your preparation? What do you pack? What is the pre-preparation that you need to do for your child? What? I want to know it all.
It's when we travel alone, we just think, okay, even if I leave everything else behind, so long as I have my passport, my wallet, and my phone, I'll be fine. But when you're traveling with a neurodivergent child, you just can't think like that, because You always need an extra set of clothes. What if he, dirties himself? And many of these kids, they don't like to be dirty. They don't like that feeling of, having a wet shirt. So the thing is, always have extra set of clothes, which you really don't think of for yourself. Sometimes there's sensory devices. Many of them are sensory seekers, because they are anxious before travel. So having their fidget toys with them, having their favorite doll. Like my son loves jewelry and accessories. So we have to have a set of jewelry and accessories. But he also likes things like, springs from hardware stores. Now, at one point at security check, the policeman was like, "What is this? Because this looks like a part of something else. How can he play with this?" And he was not willing to let us take that with us in our hand luggage. So we had to explain him that our kid will have a meltdown if you don't allow him. We realize it's dangerous. When we come back, we'll put it in a check luggage. But right now he needs it. So these are challenges we face all the time when we travel with our kid, and we have like unexpected things happening with every flight. Yeah, with every flight. So yeah, apart from your regular suitcase and your kids' essentials and the plus things like their sensory stuff, their extra clothing, maybe soothing music on their iPad, maybe someone's voice, their videos of their favorite people. All of that has to be with you, all the time. And of course, you have to be armed with a lot of patience.
So, how many hours of a flight that you take?
Maximum we have done is the longest travel time door to door has been 36 hours. Yeah.
This is crazy. And how did you manage that? I want to know.
So it was from Rio de Janeiro to Mumbai. So that was the longest because you have your waiting in your stopover, so all of that. So that was the longest flight. Okay. And once we even had a flight that was cancelled, so we had to stay for 10 hours more in the airport. And,
so how did you manage all of that? First and foremost, I would love to know what do you experience at the airport? Is the staff really aware of all these things? Are they accommodating? What is the situation like?
So it's generally okay. Like, if you're not hiding the fact that you're traveling with a neurodivergent child, if you're open with it and you don't care, actually, you shouldn't really care about people staring because this is a favorite pastime here. So if you're not caring so much and if you're open and you're very natural, people are generally helpful. People are generally helpful and ask for help. Ask for help. You're not able to deal with it alone. If you're traveling as a family, you have your husband, you have your mother, or anyone, that's fine. But if you're traveling alone, just ask for help. You don't have to be all hesitant. Do it by yourself or hesitant and feel all, what do you call it?
Overwhelmed.
Overwhelmed. I mean, you can feel overwhelmed, but ask for help every time. Ask for priority. People don't realize that, your kid has to be in the front of the line. Just ask for priority. And people are understanding, People are understanding. They're not looking for big explanations, but generally it's been pretty okay with the staff at the airport, the airline staff. All of that has been very good because also airlines do offer a free special assistance like a wheelchair service or at least someone accompanying you so that you don't have to wait in line at customs, at security, at border control and all of that.
So you mean to say the situation is pretty much good in regards to supporting and helping out?
I think if you ask for it, you get it.
Okay. Yeah. Wow. Which is really nice. You said you declare it. So how do you do that?
Declare it as in you have to tell the airline that I need special assistance. Okay. That's it. You fill out either a form or you just give them a call and on your PNR number, they give you your free wheelchair with the person accompanying you.
So you basically just tell them, these are what are my prerequisites.
Yeah. Perfect. Only at one point at one airport, our kid was having a meltdown And it was a very, very severe meltdown. And that's when the airport staff came and said, does he have a medical certificate? And we have never traveled with a medical certificate because he's a minor and he's traveling with his parents. So we said, no, we don't. And we've never been asked this question. So I guess if you want to carry a copy of the medical certificate saying that my child is fit to travel and he's being accompanied by a caregiver, primary, secondary, whatever, you can just have that along with you. And of course, his prescription, if he's medical prescriptions, if he's having a certain some medicines that need to be taken.
Okay, which is a good information to know that yes, situations have changed because we have had parents who have had a tough time during travel. Okay, so this was, so you get priority check-ins, you have assistance.
Yeah, and now I don't know if you know, Bangalore Airport has just opened
I sent it to your
sensory
yes.
room, and there are airports slowly opening up like that. I know in Rio there is one airport like that. So I think the world over, people are realizing all of this. Especially there have been incidents where airlines, it hasn't happened with us, but airlines have blocked families from boarding the flight because they're traveling with an autistic, severely autistic child, and they're scared for the safety of the passengers and the crew and all of it. So people have really been angry about these situations, and things have to change.
Because recently Emirates also declared that they are the official airlines for inclusive for autism. So they've included themselves into this so-called ecosystem of autism. So they are also taking initiatives, and which is really nice. Okay, now we did discuss the ground stuff, check-ins and everything. What about the situation when you're in the aircraft?
In the aircraft, of course, it depends, from culture to culture, in the sense, you're traveling with a bunch of...
Culture also plays...
Yeah, because you're traveling with a bunch of Indians, they're generally noisy. So if your kid is noisy, it's okay, he's just, camouflaged in the whole... in the whole airline and with the noise of the airline. Now you're traveling with a group of Europeans, they're generally very silent and extra civil and disciplined. So, if you have a noisy child, you're going to tell him to hush a little more. But you have to realize that there is only so much you can do. And people have taken a ticket, whether they're sitting next to you, in front of you, or behind you. This is what it is. You're traveling with a child, you're traveling with a geriatric person. It's part of the game. So you can only do that much to control your kid. Your kid can only do that much to regulate himself. But and then you have to always ask the airline staff for support as well. There have been a crew coming up to me and asking for do you need something more and all of that. So very generally supportive. Generally I've found support on the ground and in the air.
Wow. So we'll talk about any challenges or instances later. So I would really love to know is while you're in the aircraft, is there anything that you need to declare, be it food?
That when you do your check-in, or even when you put in your passport details a few days before your flight. If your kid has any allergies, you can say that you want a child, kid meal or veg meal or whatever kind of meal your kid likes. And then there is a place where you can mention, he's allergic to, gluten or, no sugar. You can do that. Meals in the airline are not the best thing. When you're traveling economy, of course, but they're really not the best thing. But you have also your food, You have your food with you, your kid's favorite food, crunchy stuff that will regulate him, and stock yourself. Stock yourself with that, because if the kid doesn't like the airline food, you have a backup.
Your backup is ready. Okay. And are there any kind of sensory toys or anything of that sort that they provide you with? If asked for?
No. They just give you their, their usual kiddie kit pack. kit. Yeah, they just give you that, which has that has no inclusive games or toys at all. Not yet.
Not
Not yet.
Okay. Okay. Nice. Lot of questions answered. I like that. So we'll come back to you. So we discussed about taking the flight, the ground staff, and all those things. Now, when you reach the destination, so you said there's one part where you travel for work, and the other part is where you take your vacations. So once you reach your destination, how is it? First one, be it your work, your travel, and your vacation travel.
Yeah, so vacation travel is again the flight bit is the same. I mean, the preparation and what happens during the flight, all of that is the same thing. But when we reach our vacation destination, then we have to adjust to the other guests in the hotel or the resort or wherever we're staying, or at a public place like a beach, or I don't know, a fun amusement park or anything. For instance, once I heard this man commenting about our son, saying, why does he have to travel? And his wife immediately, pulled him up, and she said, why not? Even he wants to see things. So that's why his parents are bringing him here. So yeah, we're like any other parent when we think that should we go, should we not go? We have like a million doubts, and we're like, okay, this is going to be our last trip because the previous trip was so difficult and was difficult to deal with, but we still do it. And then when we're there are ups and downs and meltdowns, and we melt down, and then we're like, regretting, never ever again, and all that. But we come back with so many memories, and we come back with a boy who has grown through those few days of holidays. So I think it is important because it is widening their horizon. If we can travel, even if it is not very far away, even if it is close by, 1 hour, 2 hours away from your home, they're seeing different things, meeting new people, new experiences widen your horizons.
So do you think traveling more, being exposed to newer environments gives your child more learning and a better, sort of an environment?
Because like in his case, yeah, he's constantly doing this cerebral gymnastics all the time because of 3 different languages, 3 different cultures, 3 different kind of food, cuisines. So it can be taxing and overwhelming. He's never complained. So even we maybe push him a little bit, but it is enriching. I mean, I can't see it. Or maybe I don't want to see it in any other way, because it is enriching. It makes you a different person, right? So for him as well, he is growing through all of this. So even if it's very hard, very difficult, I'm sure at some point we want to, or we would have to, settle down in one place. But yeah, for now, we just have decided to, just make lemonade of the lemons that life is throwing at us.
Wow, good to know. Okay, so tell me, the question for you, what was Rafa's first experience when she came to your center?
So the first time that I interacted with Rafa, we saw him in this big open space, the OT room. And Rafa was very curious. But purely because of the open space, he was moving around. And it was fascinating to see how he gravitated to everybody present in that room. So there was a bunch of us. There was a bunch of us therapists. We had an occupational therapist in the room, a physiotherapist. I was there. Of course, Roshan was present in that moment. And Rafa's instinctually reached out to everybody, connected with us. To the extent that he would touch our jewelry or touch our necklaces or the accessories that we were wearing. And it was his way of connecting with us. And the beauty of all of this is that he did it in a way that did not feel like, we did not feel violated or infiltrated in any way. And that's Rafa as a person. He acknowledges everybody in the room. with his smile, with his greeting, with his empathy. And he picks up on the vibe and what people are feeling. He's very empathetic like that. So it was great. The first opportunity, first interaction with Rafa, it was more open-ended, more informal. We had a conversation with him. Those conversations were a little repetitive and centered around things that interest him. He was very open to having conversation. Back then, he wasn't so verbal. He used a lot of gestures. But he made sure that he got his message across. And that was very endearing to see. And instantly, I think he built a connection with every therapist that was present in the room. Moving on to our one-on-one session then, we had Mom in the room and there was Rafa. And then we were doing more structured work with him. And we were all ready. I had a plan in place, let's do oromotor with him, use some techniques of OPT, and I came in with that skill set. Maybe we get in some pictures for him. Maybe we work on some narrative skills. Yes, let's bring in the app. And so I went into the session prepped. But anything structured doesn't work for Rafa.
Okay.
So Mom was a little skeptical about, should I be in this session? Should I not be in this session? And I had to move with Rafa very intuitively. And at that whole session, I kept telling myself, it's connection over compliance. It's connection over compliance. And the first session was a little difficult. We were finding our footing around each other. And I needed to build that trust with Rafa. And initially, Rafa was very resistant. So the first session, we had a meltdown and, we struggled to establish that rapport. And but Mom was very heartening. She's like, no, he just needs to build that connection with you. I saw where that was coming from. And then at the end of the session, Roshan was a little skeptical and she goes Rafa's not really like that. Are you going to be seeing him in the next session? And I was like, yes, for sure, we're in this together now. And so my whole approach then changed with Rafa. I bought in an AAC. It was completely child-led by Rafa. So we got in all the sensory material that he really likes. Even though conversations or things that we spoke about or connections that he was making in the session were very repetitive and very fixated, we went with that. And I brought in an AAC right from the second session in a way that, so the challenge was that Rafa spoke 3 different languages. I needed to find an app that we could customize. So we figured that the JapTalk app, which is very open-ended, there is no core vocabulary. It's a lot of building when you use the JapTalk app because you are putting in all the vocabulary. So we began with Rafa's areas of interest and we moved on from there. And today, if you look at the app, it's it's huge. It's like a mini dictionary of all the things. And that's where we started from. And through the app, through a lot of other modalities, non-verbal communication, Rafa and I worked together and we established that trust.
And today, if I may, Rafa is verbal, you can say. They're working on articulation and forming sentence forming. But from a non-verbal child or a minimally verbal child, today you can actually call him verbal, So it's all thanks to it.
And I felt like the biggest aspect of therapy was just co-regulating with him. Because we have this cognitively bright child, who has great communicative intent. And I needed to think about how do I use these strengths. So it was, most of my work was co-regulation. And I kept repeating the mantra that connection over compliance. And once we had that connection going, it was beautiful. Today, Rafa was very reluctant to communicating with other children, preferred talking to adults, preferred talking to a preferred adult, a preferential person in the room. And lately we started group classes with Rafa where he's interacting with peers, not fixating on things that he constantly repeats about, showing interest in other people's, very empathetic, offering friends things, extending that support, and working with peers today with very little adult support. And we've reached there.
Now I know why she said it's our second home.
Yeah.
So Alisha has really put in her heart and soul into her work, is what we can see here. Beautiful, amazing. We need more therapists. We need people like you. So thank you for what you're doing, and please continue what you're doing. Now that she spoke about a few challenges, so from both of you, I would love to know what was that one major, there must be some incidents that has happened, a major challenge that you have faced, and how did you handle it? How did you get out of that situation, or how did you basically handle that situation? And also the same question goes to you. Any situation which was like, oh my God, how will I, handle this? And so how did you handle it? I would love to know. So first, over to you.
I think the biggest challenge any therapist encounters is, when a child is dysregulated and they feel unsafe, their behaviors where the child is trying to communicate and is in that accelerated state, and the therapist is in a position where the therapist is not safe. I feel like that's most dysregulating to the therapist too. I feel in the moment, and there are times when you just want to walk out of the room. And you're hurt or you're injured, and and you're dealing with your own set of feelings in that moment.
Correct.
And you need to keep telling yourself that you're the adult here and you need to regulate, and there is a reason why this child is here. I feel like that, to find that balance in a moment of dysregulation, and in spite of that happening, to be able to co-regulate with the child, giving the child assurance, letting the child know that the child is safe when you are not feeling safe.
Correct.
That is.
I mean, that in itself is a huge. So how do you cope up with such a situation? What goes into what's that thing that's going on into your mind?
So I would think about everything. So in a moment when I have a child who's dysregulated and their body is not ready, they're not able to keep hands to self, they're extending their hands, and in a situation where the therapist is unsafe, I try to put in the distance first. But at the same time, I also need to ensure that the child is keeping himself safe. So I might need to go restrain the child a little bit, and that's basically our last resort. But at the same time, I'm thinking about what works with the child. How do I calm this excessively hyper nervous system in the moment? So this comes from knowing what your child likes, knowing, so that rapport bit, the connection bit, that in this moment calming music is going to work. In this moment, I'm going to turn off the lights. I'm going to put a weighted blanket. Maybe I'm just going to hold the child and rock the child. Maybe I'm just going to hum, and just validating the child's feelings in whichever way that you're doing it. Maybe verbally, maybe just being there physically for the child. Maybe humming, knowing and helping the child to de-escalate. I feel like that's what works. But I think the most challenging thing is when you are put in an unsafe position.
Yeah. So it is what about your hurt? There is, of course, you're human. So there will be a reaction that you will have. Or maybe you have your own you can call a meltdown, that, you're not able to handle the situation. So what is that frame of mind?
So when we work with a group of therapists, we're lucky to have a lot of support coming in from a way where, say, if a child is having a hard time and there is a social emotional therapist around, an SE person around, the SE person can come in and help you co-regulate with the child. Or maybe an occupational therapist who's around, who knows the child, has done sensory work or just has sensory strategies. So that collaboration, that support the therapists extend to other therapists in the moment. Sometimes sometimes the therapists themselves call for help.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All are humans.
Yeah.
Be it a therapist, be the child. In the end, we're all humans.
A lot of times the parent is very instrumental.
Wow.
So we have the parent come and support the therapist, or like another co-therapist that I'm stepping out. I have reached my saturation now and I need you to take over. So that kind of extended support therapists do give each other. And parent is always very instrumental. The family member, knows how to give you that support. When the therapists themselves are dysregulated by the situation.
Correct.
So,
wow. Awesome. Amazing. And I've got a very clear answer. Let me tell you that. Yes, over to you.
So there have been studies that have said that parents with children who have behavioral issues, for them it's like their brain works like a soldier in a war zone. Because you're all the time in that fight and flight, dynamic. So challenges are every day. There are some days when you have more challenges. Some days when you have a lot of, really few challenges. But yeah, the biggest challenge is behavioral challenges. It's really the biggest challenge when your child is melting down or is having socially inappropriate behavior. And the more than trying to, regulate your child, it is your own dysregulation, like Alisha said, which is the hardest part. Because your child is like a sponge. He will just pick on the mother's, the parents, feelings or state of regulation, and it can just worsen or it can get better. So at that moment, you're doing like a tightrope walk where you have to tell yourself, you have to regulate. And once you do that, it's I've noticed it, at least with my child, that he does tend to calm down. But it's very difficult because there are days you can't do it. There are days you just want to scream, leave everything. But the hardest part is to try and have other outlets when your child is not with you, or when you have few moments of respite. Have other outlets where you can, vent out your frustration and all of that, like gymming, doing some physical activity, having a hobby for yourself, or having a group, a social network.
So has it been like a meltdown that your son has had when you're on the flight or at a public place?
Yeah, so many times.
So on the flight, how has it
innumerable
been?
times.
Okay.
So he's screaming, and then in the beginning we're patient. But then at some point we just lash out, and so it's like a fight. It's like a fight mid-air that is happening. But the whole thing is to let your child know that despite all of this, you love him, and then we're going to reach, and this is going to be over, and tomorrow is a new day. I don't want to be. They call that toxic positivity. I don't want to be always so positive, but you're tricking your brain in some way to tell yourself that you're happy and everything is okay if you are actually positive.
Correct.
If you are smiling through it, you're going to mess up. But then the most important thing is to get up after you've messed up, and then try to set it right.
Yeah. Which is a valid point. Also, do they give you all such kind of seats which have more leg space? Is what I've heard.
No.
Or the fronts, there are those seats.
There are those seats.
Do they give you preference?
With the cribs, those are those baby seats. When you have you're traveling with an infant, but you don't get, you're not allowed to sit on the emergency exit seat because you need a person who is physically apt to handle an emergency, and the person has to be an adult. So you can't really have those seats unless you pay for them.
Okay. So there's no preference, because what I have heard is they give you preference for those, not the exit.
No, if there are no infants, then they may give you those seats. You know, the ones which have those cribs.
The one in the
right in the front.
Right in the
but
front.
If there are no infants, because those are basically reserved for infants. But otherwise, these are like mostly you have to pay for your seats.
Okay.
I mean, till now, no one has offered us a seat in business premium economy.
So, you have been a journalist, which is fascinating in itself. And how has your journey, so from journalism to motherhood, and then your experience as a journalist and helping your child with this, how has it been? What has been your experience?
So, of course, being a journalist, has directly and indirectly helped me advocate for my child's cause. One is because I'm a stickler when it comes to terminology. I don't like people using words like normal and abnormal and all that. So, yeah, if you don't know, ask, be curious, ask, and then, then we let you know what our kid is facing and how you use terms like neurodivergent, neurotypical, and all of that. That is like so important, especially now, because there is awareness, increasing awareness. Secondly, journalism has helped me because, in the sense, we need to learn to network when we're journalists, and the same thing we have to do when we are a parent of a neurodivergent child. So that networking is so important to get the best possible care for your child. You have to have that network. You have to network to be able to do it. Go towards people. Be people oriented. That has really helped me. And lastly, of course, my book is a fruit of my my journalistic skills. So the book is not fully about my son, but it is a lot to do with his story and with the travels that that have taken us places because of his story, and the different anecdotes and the narratives that were strung together in that book are all thanks to him. So thanks to my son, and
fantastic.
Yeah. So,
and I will be reading it for sure soon.
Please do, because the lesson that BOM-CDG-GIG, which is the airport codes for Bombay, Paris, and Rio. It's a story about empathy. At the end of the day, it's about empathy, and you can really see that how my mindset as a parent has changed from being negative, self-pitying and all of it, to someone who is trying to be resilient and strong in this journey of neurodivergent motherhood.
And maybe celebrating the small joys.
Yeah.
Like
that's small joys, important. Small victories. Yeah, because for us, every victory is like climbing the Mount Everest.
So true. Yeah. And it's hats off to you parents and of course you professionals as well. You all are doing a fantastic job. A big round of applause to you all. Believe me, it's incredible work that you all are doing. Amazing.
Thank you. Coming from you, it means a lot.
Thank you.
All the work that Autism Connect is doing.
This is giving me goosebumps.
Yes, and the platform, thanks to platforms like you that give us a lot of voice and a lot of weight. Correct.
Thank you so much for this amazingly beautiful conversation that we have had today.